Now, I'm absolutely positive that anybody in their right mind
would not take Jeranism in any way, shape or form seriously? Correct. Hi there, labels and gentle signs. It's your horror, Sir Sick, back again with another video. This time we have that Fleur favourite, Jeranism, saying big dumb shit about the moon. Let's have a listen and a laugh and probably a lot of whiskey. We shall need it.
would have to agree that if we did go to the moon, it was man's greatest achievement.
No, what an utterly ridiculous thing to say. There are so many things that are far greater than some paltry car trip. I mean, did you know someone actually made cheese cake? A cake, right? But it's made out of cheese. Incredible what science can achieve when they actually pull their thumbs out and set their minds to making the world a better place. Now, if we could just find a way to ingest it intravenously.
Imagine how well kept those records would be.
They are greatly kept. I'm pretty sure they broadcast that shit on TV. It's literally one of the most well-documented events in all of human history. I mean, seriously, it's pudding, but it's not made out of pudding. Wild. Oh shit, you mean the moon landing? Yeah, that too. People literally had parties to watch it together. I'm sure people bought TVs for the event. It's unbelievably well recorded, and that's just by the public alone.
Well, I hope you've done your research and know that NASA has lost all the data, the blueprints, the records from the Apollo missions.
Well, funny you should say research, because I did do that, and no, they haven't. What are you talking about? That is utter nonsense, to the point where I can only assume you are either so stupid that you don't understand how words work, or you're just lying. All the data, all the blueprints, all sorts of other things are available in many formats, and the rest is almost certainly archived in their, well, archives. What I can only assume you are talking about is the backup tapes from the mission broadcast, which are gone. But that shit happened like 50 years ago, and a lot of media does not last forever, and things do go missing, and in this case it's believed that the raw tape archives weren't considered particularly useful, so they were copied over when it was all done with. A shame, but not completely unexpected. And the important thing is they were endlessly copied. They are everywhere and are in no way lost in any kind of true sense. And if I remember, I'll link to an archive of more shit about the Apollo program than you could possibly reasonably read in the time it takes J-Dog to say something stupid.
Lost them.
Houston, we have a problem.
That was something. And again, probably not lost, just not kept, which is a shame, especially from today's standards, since we could have used them to create enhanced copies with your fancy MacGuffins and what have you. But what are you going to do? There's tons of lost media that we could have used today to make better versions of things. Stuff that is worth millions to those who would have had them. But you know, shit happens, time marches on, and you forget where you put that sex tape you made with God to bribe him later. What are you going to do?
So, let me start by asking those of you watching to please open your mind.
Yeah, of course, you've got to open your mind and then scoop out your brain and throw it in the bin. Because where we're going, you aren't going to need one of those and the things it allows you to do, like think or reason or any kind of critical faculties at all, really. And in its place, you can just put some hot, delicious custard so you can feel that sweet goo run down your synapses and lull you into a dreamlike state of custardy goodness.
I know a lot of you guys are starting to see some of the deceptions, starting to open your mind a little bit.
Your audience, I assume, are able to see all the deceptions that just aren't there, and yet are completely unable to detect the deception that is right in front of them. And I'm not saying the things like JJ Dumbrums is saying are deception per se. They're just wrong and stupid. No, the deception he is pulling off is the idea that anyone on Earth should ever fucking listen to him or anything he has to say. That is some S-tier speechcraft right there.
But I'm more looking at the ones who are watching who have completely shut off anything outside of
logic, reason, evidence, making a smart braining, and any of the other kinds of stupiding. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Jurgenstein. I'm not really interested in the category of knowledge known as shit you made up, because of how smart you are and how dumb everyone else is. I don't find that shit very useful in place of, facts and all that. But don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I'm not going to listen. It's just that I won't immediately accept everything you say is true, like the asshole I am, and I'm gonna fact check that shit. I know how unopen-brained of me.
What they currently believe, and I'm just asking you for one video. Open your mind, please. I beg you. Just this one time.
Wow, if you have to beg someone to believe the shit you're saying instead of coming up with compelling arguments with actual proof to back up your claims, you must, somewhere deep down in the pit of your empty skull, those 2 remaining brain cells from after the Great Purge huddling together for warmth, they must know that you really are just so full of shit, right?
Pretend that you aren't the smartest human on Earth.
Yeah, you aren't Jack, the Pumpkin King, or his followers. You're just some fucking asshole who requires things to actually be true when someone states them as fact, with the kind of confidence that only a giga-brained omni-chad who doesn't know shit about shit could possibly have. Like, seriously, it's hilarious projection on his part. We don't think we know everything, mate. It's you who so obviously do. And that's one of the many ways to tip people off that you're probably wrong about everything.
Understand that I don't claim to know every fact. To be honest, there's some facts that will never be known, simply because they've been hid too well.
Hey, I don't claim to know everything, but there are things that can't possibly be known, but I know that they can't be known. That is exactly the kind of shit that one might say instead of bothering to learn anything about anything. Especially when it comes to what you are talking about. This shit isn't hidden. You have every opportunity to not just find out from countless resources abound, but you could also do a lot of this shit yourself. I mean, private space agencies exist and chuck stuff into space all the time. Of course, the reason you guys will never actually manage to do any of that, apart from the fact that you won't even bother, is because of your staggeringly tiny intellects. But maybe if you chose not to be so ignorant, you could basically do it all. Nothing is hidden. All is available to those who actually want to know. You just don't.
But if you're a human being with a brain and you're not afraid of your own stupidity, it's okay to question things.
God, that was a lot, wasn't it? I mean, first of all, I'm not convinced human beings come with brains by default. I have had enough interactions with people on the internet where I'm pretty sure at this point, if you opened up a bunch of people's heads, at least half of them would have a picture of a dog in a hat instead of the pink sludge that's supposed to be there. And yeah, I'm sure you're not afraid of your stupidity. You clearly embrace that shit like it's going out of fashion. But people should absolutely be wary of their stupidity because it makes them do stupid shit. What you mean is, because stupid, is people shouldn't fear ignorance. Ignorance is not equatable to the big dumb. And yes, asking questions is great. You just miss the step of listening to the answers you don't like because they don't make you feel like the man with all the secrets. But my dude, that's because you aren't. You're the man with all the ridiculous opinions and you should probably stop.
What does that hurt? No question should be closed to debate. Not one.
None of them are, but that doesn't mean that if you get your answers like, oh, I don't know, the earth isn't fucking flat, here's the unbelievable piles of evidence for that fact. You don't get to carry on believing that the earth am big panache without everyone making fun of you / not taking you seriously, because that's not how being wrong works.
Yet science has shut down all debates. They shut down questions. They shut off thinking. They close doors. They close minds. Close discussions.
I don't know what science you are talking about because that's literally the opposite of how science works. In fact, if it wasn't for discussion done in science in the form of peer review, we wouldn't have all the amazing shit we have today that works. And that's the thing. There's a reason we know people like you are wrong. Because you are incapable of producing anything. Flat Earth, creationism, and any number of other pseudosciences that get quote-unquote shut down, they don't do anything. They don't work, so no one uses them. But that's not being shut down. Really, that's just how useful things work. If you had a telly that did nothing but show static, you wouldn't assume that you had the world's best telly and everyone else was an idiot. You would get a different set that did work. But that is what you lot are doing. You're just staring into that static, thinking that it's the world's best show, and getting mad that no one agrees with you, because you're morons.
You know, all you science fans love to make fun of the popes of the 16th and 17th century.
Not really. Science fans like to, do stuff with science, whether that be researching it or trying out various sciencey gadgets or what have you. I basically never think of popes. That's just not something I'm particularly interested in. And I certainly wouldn't call it something I love to do. See what I mean about you thinking that you're smart? You think you know what's going on in other people's heads, but you don't. And I would never say that I knew what was going on in yours, because nothing isn't a thing, right?
Laugh, and make fun of them because they refused to hear arguments outside of their dogma at the time.
I mean, that's why we make fun of you, but that's not what we are doing with your arguments. We listen. Damn right we listen. The problem is, and will always be, that we are listening. Your fans, they don't really listen. They just hear something that they think agrees with their preconceived worldview, and that's good enough for them. But us lot, we listen, and then we go away and we find out what you fucked up. And then when we present you with arguments outside your dogma, well, I think you know what happens next. Well, you know what doesn't happen next.
Wow, how unscientific. Sound familiar?
Yes, it does. And are you going to get to the point, or are you just going to constantly project and beg people to believe you without doing any of the legwork? Because I've seen the title of this video and it's pretty obvious what you are going to be getting at from how you started. But I'm not convinced you have any actual beef to this. And that's why you seem so fucking desperate.
I mean, NASA doesn't answer any questions.
Holy shit. Well, okay, that's good enough, because NASA answers questions all the time, constantly. They answer questions you didn't even think to ask most of the time. That's kind of their job. And all those answers are just available pretty much everywhere. All you have to do is look for it.
Brian Cox won't answer an open letter.
Oh, I see. You don't actually mean that they won't answer questions. You mean they won't answer yours specifically. What is it with internet cranks and their utter conviction that anyone on Earth should give a single shit about them? I mean, if I were to ask questions of NASA or any scientist, whether that be in an email or open letter or whatever, my default expectation would be that they will never see that shit. And even if they do, they probably have more important things going on than to spend their valuable time dispelling my dumb ass of my various misconceptions that led me to ask such extremely stupid questions. Questions you would know were stupid if you had bothered to even try figuring it out for yourself. But that's the thing. You're not important, Joff. Maybe you need to figure that out first and foremost.
I guess it's easier just to collect a paycheck.
Who, how, and why do you think these people get paid? It's not for doing nothing. They don't just sit there going space am real, moon am land boys. They are often experts in their fields. They are paid for expanding knowledge or disseminating it. And if you think money is all that matters to them, try this. Raise a shitload of money. Like, just go crazy goddamn amounts of money. And then find some well-known scientists who state the facts as science presents them and tell them if they change their opinion to yours and start exposing the flat earth, they will get this ludicrous sum of money. And I would bet you will get basically all of them telling you to piss off because their principles would not allow them to lie about what the science actually says just for money. You know, the opposite of what you're accusing them of.
But you do need to use your mind. You know, NASA's not going to come out and say, oh, the moon landings were a hoax.
Fucking finally. And yeah, they aren't going to say that. What did you try to say earlier but were too dumb to get it right? That's right. Don't be afraid of your ignorance. And yet, there you are, behaving as if you know for a fact that the moon landing were faked and that NASA are simply hiding it. But what if the moon landings were real? I know, a wild idea that you are, despite your claims about us, probably unable to entertain as an idea. But if they were real, then absolutely everything you said makes zero fucking sense. And guess what? They were real. We know they were real. We can fucking prove they were real. So maybe you're probably just kind of sort of completely wrong. But are you ever going to admit that?
Never.
Thought so.
So does that mean we just accept it and move on, or can we actually use our minds?
Well, you see, we both accept the fact that you are wrong and incapable of admitting that you are wrong, and we use our minds to demonstrate that fact whilst also making fun of you for the ridiculousness of everything you ever say. We're double threat guys over here.
I mean, if you've watched my videos or any of the other guys talking about this stuff,
Then I am so sorry for your loss. Those precious brain cells can no longer do their duty as cannon fodder for all the whiskey that you were going to drink. Godspeed, noble brain cells. Godspeed.
would you at least admit that at the very least that the flat versus ball earth is not quite as 100% fact as you thought?
No, in fact, after watching your and many other videos from guys like you, the only thing that I have been dissuaded of that I once thought in my naivete is that humanity is worth saving. I say, blow 'em all up, let atheismo sort 'em out.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the...